Hello, my name is Sally, and I am 37 years old right now. It's been a year or two since these events happened, but I still think about it quite a lot. So I decided to come on here and share my story with anyone who wanted to listen. The story starts with my dad. My dad threw himself into starting a business after my mum had passed away due to cancer. I was a little too young to remember her clearly, and Kyle was just a baby. Anyway, my dad dealt with his grief by starting a business to occupy his time. He was still a great dad to Kyle and me, but he also was a hard-working person. The business had a little bit of a rough start, but eventually it began to grow little by little. It was eventually successful enough for us to survive on the income it brought us. I remember waking up some nights to use the washroom, only to walk through the hallway and see my dad still doing work in his office. I remember wanting to grow up and be just like him. When I was 18, I asked my dad if I could join him and maybe work under him. He was adamant about not letting me work for him. He said he had tried working with family before and it didn't turn out well. He said he was not going to repeat it again. At that time, I didn't know what he was talking about, but I respected his wishes. Even though I did respect his decision, I was still upset that I couldn't help my dad. I managed to find another job, and well, it kept me alive, and it wasn't any hard work, but then one day, I was in my dad's office and decided to take a look at his accounts. His business was running a huge loss. It was the kind of loss that would lead him to shut his business down. I was shocked. At the rate he was going, it would only be a couple of months before he would have to shut it down, so I confronted him about it. Dad, the business is running a huge loss. What's going on?
Were you snooping through my stuff?
I'm sorry I did that, but seriously, you're going to end up closing down.
I know, but nothing I do is working. I cut so many corners just to keep the business afloat, I was thinking of shutting it down.
No, don't do that. Just please, let me help you out. I promise you won't regret it.
I don't know about that. You know how I feel about mixing family and business.
Yes, I know, but I went to business school. I know what I'm talking about. Just give me a couple of months. I promise I'll get the business up and running.
It seems like a very expensive risk.
You took a risk by starting the business. It's just another small risk. If it goes south, I'll work to make up for it for the rest of my life, I swear.
It's only because I'm desperate and a little curious to see how you'll do it that I'll allow it.
You won't regret it. After my dad finally allowed me to work alongside him, I spent the next few months glued to the computer screen. I ran accounts and contacted so many people to try and get the business off the floor. Instead of shutting down, the business started to grow. We began to get more clientele. My dad was actually surprised at the outcome. I used to even think he was proud of me, even though he never said it. I continued to work tirelessly while my dad was satisfied with a mediocre level of profits. I wasn't. I wanted the business to grow enough that my dad would be set for the rest of his life. Obviously, Dad was happy about it. He did help me out a lot initially, as in he too would work hard alongside me. But as the years began to pass, he just let me handle the reins. I didn't mind that. It made me feel good to know that Dad trusted me that much. I had asked him once if he was ready to retire and let me take ownership of the business, but he said he was not. He said that he still had a good many years of work left to do and he didn't want to retire too early. I didn't want to point out that he wasn't working, so I didn't say anything. I just continued happily working there. Then, about 8 years into my working for my dad, my brother, Kyle, decided that he also wanted to work in the company. I was all on board with that. What I wasn't on board with was how Kyle became a co-CEO with me, but once again I didn't say anything. Because at the end of the day, my dad still had the final say in what went on with the business. Kyle never actually worked, but I didn't mind as long as he wasn't hindering the business. The business continued to grow and expand. We were making profits in the millions. We were rolling in money we never thought we would see. As the years to my dad's retirement grew closer, I waited patiently for my dad to announce that he would hand the company over to me. I remember that it was my brother's birthday that my dad decided to drop the news. We had gone over to Carl's place to have a little birthday dinner. It was a nice time, although I was very tired from work. Anyways, after dinner, Dad decided to make his big announcement.
Happy birthday, son. Thanks, Dad. Glad you could make it. Of course, why wouldn't I be here? Plus, I have a huge surprise to give you. A surprise? What is it? Well, I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I think it's time for you to run our business. What? What? Oh my God, Dad, that's so nice of you. Thank you so much. You can't be serious. I worked my butt off for the past 10 years while Carl steps in for 2 years and you give him the job? It may have been only 2 years, but Carl really stepped up, and now look at how well we are doing. Are you kidding me? Carl barely even worked. I was the one that did everything. He only had to sign the papers and approve of some things. I still think he deserves it. Thanks, Dad. There's no need to be so jealous, Sally. Don't worry. You can continue working with me. I'll even give you a raise if you'd like it. No, I cannot. I'm out. You guys can take your stupid business and shove it up your butts. I will not stand for this level of disrespect. I dealt with a lot of things that you guys put me through, but this is where I draw the line. Do not even think of calling me. I am done with you guys. Oh, come on, Sally, don't be like that. Bye. I stormed out of the house and made sure to slam the front door. How dare they do me this dirty? Did they even know about the numbers of nights I gave up to sleep to work? Did they know about how many eye drop bottles I ran through just because I spent so much time looking at my screen that my eyes began to dry out? Did they know that no matter how sick I was, I still made it to work? I literally took a maximum of 4 months off in the span of 10 years. My social life was non-existent. My romantic life was non-existent. I had no life other than the business, and I loved it. I loved seeing my work bear fruit. I love watching us grow from a small business in a corner store to this $1 million company that is its own building. I was proud of myself. For all of that to get thrown away so easily to my brother, who never showed an interest until he found out how much our company was worth, I was livid. I was hurt. I felt so betrayed. I was the one who stood by my dad when we were sure we were going to lose our business. What the hell did Carl even do? He just sat in his office all day playing games on his phone or watching videos online. Whenever we had meetings, he remained quiet and constantly looked to me to make decisions. It was insulting enough that Dad had made him the CEO of the company along with me, but for him to give the business to Kyle, it was unacceptable. When I got back home, I just broke down and cried. I always knew that Carl was my dad's favourite. I saw it in the way that Carl just had to mention something for Dad to get it for him while growing up. Well, I had to beg for things, and sometimes I was expected to save up and buy for them myself. I just hoped that by working so hard, Dad would realise how good I was and that he would appreciate me. In the end, he still favoured Kyle, and it stung like hell. I let myself wallow in my pain for a long while. Initially, Dad and Kyle kept trying to reach out to me, but I blocked them. I didn't want to hear anything from them, and knowing them, they would only tell me that I was being a baby and I was overreacting. I knew I wasn't. Any sane person would feel hurt. I wallowed for about a week. After that, I took some time to take care of myself. I went out and about. I shopped. I had spa days and ate properly for the first time in a while. I initially wanted to let go of everything, but I found that the anger in me was just not going to leave. To be fair, 10 years is a long time to dedicate to one thing. So I decided to put my brain to use and figure out a way to get back at my dad and brother. I knew that I was going to be able to do anything significant enough on my own, so I decided to reach out to my uncle Hank, my dad's brother, because he too had a business of his own. My dad and him had a falling out about 14 years ago, but I never knew why. I was just grabbing at straws in hopes that one of them would be my lottery tickets. When I told my uncle about what my dad had done, he told me that he would come over and help me get even. I was excited. I took a wild guess that my uncle was still salty about whatever my dad had done that caused him to fall out. I mean, I remember them being super close while growing up, and then suddenly Uncle Hank stopped coming round. When I asked Dad about it, he just told me they had a fight and that Uncle Hank would not be coming over anymore. Of course, Uncle Hank didn't punish us and he still found ways to contact us. Carl didn't really care enough, but I had loved Uncle Hank. He was this happy-go-lucky guy who knew how to crack a good joke, plus he spoiled me a lot. I guess he also saw how spoiled Carl was and he decided to give me the same treatment. Uncle Hank showed up at my place about 3 hours later.
Hey, Sally, sorry for the delay. I got caught up in some work and then traffic.
It's okay, come in.
So my piece of crap brother used to help grow his business and then kicked you out, huh? That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it sucks. What do you mean by familiar?
You were way too young for me to really tell you, but I was your dad's business partner. He worked me like a damn dog. When he saw us slowly growing, he pulled some messed up stuff and pinned it on me, then he threw me out.
Oh God, that's horrible! Why would he do that?
Well, he didn't want to share profits, at least that's my best guess.
Did you do anything to him?
I didn't really have any resources to do anything, nor did I have anyone to help me out. I kind of just had to let it go.
Well, then we can get revenge on him together. He will learn that he can't get away with cheating other people.
That we will.
I felt so bad for Uncle Hank. Yeah, sure, he had his own business, but it was not as successful as my dad's had been. I wish that it'd been hard to believe that my dad was capable of doing that to his own brother, but he did that to me, so I believe Uncle Hank very easily. We got to planning, and I wanted to do something big. If there was one thing that I was sure of, it was that my dad's business was going to start tanking pretty soon. My dad had checked out of this business about 3 years after I took over the managing of it, and Kyle was pretty much useless. I told that to Uncle Hank, and an idea started to form in his head. He asked me how I would feel starting a business in the same field as my dad's business. I loved that idea. Uncle Hank was willing to lend me some land to start the business, but I asked him how he would feel buying another plot. He was confused at first, but then I explained that there was an empty plot right next to my dad's business. It would be salt in the wound for my dad once he starts losing clients. It was a bit risky to buy a whole plot of land and start a business, all for the sake of revenge, but both of us were scorned and crazy enough to do it. Over the next 2 months we purchased the plot of land, which, by the way, was about 5 times bigger than the plot of land that my dad ran his business on. We registered our business and got all the legal stuff out of the way. We held interviews to hire a bunch of employees, but our grand plan was to steal my dad's employees once his business started to tank. Uncle Hank and I spent a lot of time working out the logistics of everything that was needed to play out this revenge. Since I was the one who ran my dad's business and brought a lot of clients, I had a lot of contacts. I snagged a bunch of my dad's clients and even managed to get them to refer our business to their friends and families. We had a very solid start, if I'm being honest. I was waiting for my dad's or my brother's call to come by any day soon. I was sure that their profits were beginning to suffer. And I was right. About 7 months into us starting our business, Dad called me. I was fully prepared for him to start begging me to come back on call. Instead, he asked me to come over for dinner. I guess he wanted to beg me in person, so I said I would be there. When I got there, my brother was there too. He looked nervous and they were both being suspiciously nice. I had made sure to carry copies of the documents citing me as the co-owner of both the land and the business with Uncle Hank. I wanted to go out with a bang. They deserved it after all. We ate dinner, and while it was awkward for Dad and Carl, I was just waiting for the chance to tell them all about how I was actively ruining them. Finally, after dinner, Dad said that they had something to discuss with me.
So, honey, there's something we need to talk to you about.
Yes?
You see, there's this new competitor in the field, and right now we're kind of sinking.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, so Dad and I were wondering if you'd want to come back and work for us.
Excuse me? Absolutely not. You know what you did last time, and I'm not going to let you use me until everything gets good only so to then throw me away.
Don't be dramatic, Sally. I was only doing what I thought was best.
Since Carl was the best,
Why isn't he solving your issue? Why are you asking me?
I'm not as good as you.
I tried to tell you about it, but Dad, you were way too confident in it. I guess you'll just have to deal with it.
Please! Kyle is great, but we just need someone who has a little more experience. I'm done with your disrespect, and as my daughter you have to work for me.
I think not. I'm already working for another company.
You can quit it. I don't care. You're going to come back.
Why will I come for work for you when my company is currently crushing you?
You're working for our new competitor?
Well, technically, I own it.
What? You're lying!
You wish I was. Here are the documents.
You own it with Hank?
He's so much more talented than you. Plus, he actually appreciates everything I do. It's honestly a pleasure to work with him.
How can you do this to your family?
The same way you could do it to Uncle Hank and me.
I will obliterate your company and leave you guys in the dust.
All the best. My dad tried to yell out for me as I made my way to leave, but I didn't pay him any mind. My face hurt from smiling so hard. Finally, Uncle Hank and I had gotten our revenge. My dad and Carl were going to learn why it is so wrong to cheat on family. But thankfully, buying the land and starting the new business was only the start. Thanks to my good rapport with a few of the employees at Dad's business, I was able to spread rumours about my dad's company among the rest of the employees. There were rumours about the company's stability and possibility of most of the employees losing their jobs. Along with that, I also began to circulate rumours about openings in my new company. We had a lot of applicants. It wasn't an issue hiring them because I knew all of them had strong work ethics and could deliver good results in the specified amount of time. Of course, a lot of them were shocked to see me managing the hiring process. That only spread the rumours further, which meant we got even more applications. My dad's business was not only crumbling from the outside, but also from the inside. My dad had furiously called Uncle Hank and yelled at him for sabotaging his business, but Uncle Hank just laughed in his face and told him that he deserved it before cutting the call. In about another year, Dad's business was running at a huge loss. They were in large amounts of debt. Uncle Hank and I, we were thriving. We were even bigger than my dad's business had been at its peak. We had about 20 times the number of clients that Dad had had. It was an amazing feeling of accomplishments. Since Dad's business was running at a loss, Uncle Hank and I bought it off him. He was so mad about it. He refused to look us in the eye when we signed the final papers. I didn't think our plan would work out this well, but I was glad. Uncle Hank and I are living a lot more comfortably right now. That anger that had been in us for a long while finally went away. In Uncle Hank, I found another better father figure. He truly cared for and appreciated me. I made sure to always let him know just how grateful I was for him. So, that's my story. I learnt just how important family is, and also in general, it's a pretty bad move to cheat on your family. You never know just how it may come back to bite you.